Hello everybody and welcome back to Throttle Grotto. This week we are going to be working on a new coolant tank for the Rabbit. Stay tuned. Alright everybody, so I had to close the garage door because my neighbor's dogs haven't stopped barking in like a week. I think that they're even getting tired of being isolated. So this week I decided that I'm going to start working on the coolant tank the coolant reservoir for the Rabbit. And I'm going to be making it out of this. Now, for those of you that are wondering why I'm holding a nearly 4-foot long tube of aluminum, well, let me show you what I have planned. So you'll have to pardon the mess. It seems like everything in the garage is a mess right now. But here's what I'm planning. I'm planning on making a upper stress bar and also turning it into a coolant reservoir. So it doesn't seem like a terrible job. I need to make some plates to go over the strut towers and then box those in so that I have a way to hold this tube in place. I need to make the tube actually hold fluids. And then I need to attach this and this little barbed fitting here, and then I should be able to use it as a overflow tank for the radiator. So I say that it's going to be not that big of a deal. Now, my tube that goes from the turbo to the intercooler, I've probably got 40 some hours of work into that thing already, and it still doesn't hold air. So this could be another similar project. But my plan is to break this up into 2 days. The first day we're just going to work on getting these plates made and getting them boxed up so that I have a way that I can hold this tube across the engine compartment. And then we'll go from there and make it actually hold water. So first things first, I'm going to go out to the car and get the plate that I bought so that I can use the template here that I have. And so I can use a little cardboard template and start making stuff. So first things, let's get these plates made. Alright, so the first step is to make a template of what we're going to design here. And the first part of the design is to make this little horseshoe, which basically goes over the 2 bolts on the strut tower and is going to sit flat around the edge and leaves room in the center for the strut bearing and the little lump around it to stick out. So I got to make 2 of these. It's pretty straightforward. I'm going to punch it out with my big 4 1/8 inch hole saw. It really should be 4 1/2, but it'll get me pretty close to where I can just grind the rest of it away. So that's the first part. Okay everybody, well, progress is not cheap. So I took my template to the hardware store just to do a little investigating, and I decided to buy the proper size hole saw, which cost almost $40. But it's going to make this process go a lot quicker. So if you're thinking about doing this, I should have showed you before I cut the top of it off. It's a 4 1/2 inch hole saw, which should make I'll basically have to drill 2 holes and then work between them. But it's the size. It's the size we need. So I'm going to hook this thing up and get to work. Okay, after a considerable amount of cutting, we now have a plate. So this is 1/4 inch thick aluminum that I cut with a jigsaw with a wood blade, which was actually recommended to me by a friend of mine that works in the boat industry, that he builds aluminum boats all day long. And he's like, if you're gonna cut this stuff, cut it with a jigsaw with an aluminum blade. You can do pretty well. And sure enough, it works. So here is our first step, is having a plate that fits right around the top of the strut tower. So the next step will be to figure out how I want to brace for our tube. These braces will have to be 1.5 inches apart, because that's the outside diameter of our tube. And I'll put them on here, and most likely just weld it all together. But I'm going to think about this for a few minutes, and I'm going to figure something out, because that seems like not the best way to do it. So give me a minute, I'll be back. Alright everybody, so it took me more than a couple of minutes to figure out how I was going to get this piece started. So here's what I've come up with. I took the piece that I drilled out of the center of here and used it to bend a piece of aluminum kind of to the same contour, so it kind of follows the contour of the strut tower. And then I punched a hole in it with an 1.5 inch hole saw, which I didn't own. I had to go buy another hole saw. So I'm up to about $50 in hole saws to do this project now. But I still need to obviously cut these off and seal up the ends. But I think if I tack this up with the TIG welder, I think this is a really good basis to start from. Kind of has a shape that fits, and I already checked it with the hood. There's enough clearance here for the cap, which I put somewhere. So that's the next step, is I'm going to tack it into place with my TIG welder, and then I'll see if I actually get it off, because I'm hoping that once I have it tacked that the angles of the strut tower won't prevent me from actually removing it. But once I have it tacked, then I can work on some reinforcements here, because obviously just the stresses of the car moving and stuff like that, it's not going to be strong enough on its own. So I'm going to have to add some pieces in to make it so that it lasts a long time. But this is step one. So let's get done with step one, get this thing tacked into place, and then I'll move forward from there. Alright everybody, I ran out of two things today. One is skill and the other is welding gas. So here's what I've got so far. It looks pretty much like a stress bar, super light. I haven't sealed up the holes on the ends yet. Still need to trim these back. But the earliest I can get any more welding gas is Tuesday. So this project's on hold for a few days until I can come up with some more welding gas. So unfortunately, that's all I can do for the weekend. So so before a big project, check your bottle and make sure you're not almost empty. Oh, so good times. So this is stage one of the build on this coolant tank stress bar, and you guys will get the rest of it next week, hopefully. So until next time, get out there and work on something.